evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for being here. You'll have to forgive me. I'm extremely out of practice doing this live. So forgive me, we'll wing it. But welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here. And if you've not been here before, you should know we have agendas and comment cards over on the table by the door. If there's an comment you'd like to make this evening, please fill it out and pass it forward. We'll call it at the right time. Reading of communications can happen at number 7 if it's pertaining to tonight's agenda, and at item number 11 if it's regarding the topic. Otherwise, thank you for all for being here. See some friendly faces that I hope are getting some rest over the summer. And with that, we'll ask everyone, if you can, to stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Dowski, can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Filipiak.
I'm here.
Mr. Klein is absent this evening. Mrs. Lukey, present. Mrs. McDonald. Here. Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
And Dr. Warren. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll seek approval of the consent agenda items, which includes the approval of the July 12th, this evening's agenda, approval of the June 21st, 2021 meeting minutes, approval of check registers for June 24th, June 30th, July 6th, July 8th, and approval of wire transfers from June 15th through July 6th.
Motion. Second.
Moved and supported. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. President's communications, I have none at this time. Mrs. Filipiak, reading the communications.
I have no communications at this time.
Citizens' comments, anyone? Okay, moving on to item 8, personnel employment services. Mr. Darby.
Thank you. Employment services, we recommend that the individuals as listed be employed. The candidates were interviewed and recommended by committee. These positions became available as a result of bid pool, resignation, or retirement. As appropriate, background checks have been conducted. At this time, I'd like to publicly thank Dr. Sokol and Mr. John Kelly and Mr. Pat Donahue for taking the lead on the interview committees for these new teaching positions. Suggest a motion that the recommendation for employment services be approved on the board as individuals as listed. Alize Knudsen, teacher, Allen Park High School. Robin Lazelle, teacher, Allen Park Middle School. Donald Pace, bus driver, transportation.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions or discussion?
Do you know what position these teachers get?
They're special education teachers.
No.
Anyone else? Okay. No further questions. We'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any of those new hires here this evening? Okay, we'll have to thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Resignations, Mr. Darby.
The following resignations and retirements have been received and accepted. Wendy Stevens, preschool assistant teacher, Lindeman, and Josie Stalka, teacher, Allen Park Middle School.
Thank you. Moving on to old business, renewal of administrative contracts, Mr. Darby.
As a follow-up to the June 21st board meeting, I'm recommending the approval of the administrative and administrative support contracts through June 30th, 2023. Current contracts expire on June 30th, 2022. I am pleased to report that I conducted evaluations for building principals and central office administration, and I'm very extremely fortunate to have these outstanding individuals provide leadership at the building and district level. All administrative evaluation ratings this year are either effective or highly effective. Please note that the typical school year, staff, parents, and students are encouraged to participate in a school climate survey. Obviously, last year and this school year were not typical in any way. As stated at the June 21st meeting, although several surveys went out to staff, parents, and students over the last 2 years, they did not involve feedback on school culture. School climate surveys are provided annually to the advanced ed, and in 2017, the district also utilized a comprehensive district climate survey created in-house. Advanced Ed, a nonprofit, helped educators improve schools and enhance learning, and is now Cognitive, which is a forward-thinking nonprofit organization laser-focused on improving educational opportunities. Dr. Tchaikovsky and I will be exploring school district improvement e-proof surveys for early fall for the staff participation, or perhaps creating another in-house survey. Survey outcomes will be shared with administrators and will be utilized when formulating fall administrative goals. At the June 21st board meeting, there was a discussion about the absence of the staffs, which are stakeholder surveys for this year. While input from stakeholders is a requirement and included in the evaluation tool, I would like to point out that surveys themselves are not a requirement by law. However, they are a good format for gleaning feedback. I'd also like to point out that the district is fully compliant in meeting the law and all requirements for administrative evaluations. Another important and invaluable measure used during the evaluation process is the feedback I gleaned from calls and emails I received from stakeholders throughout the course of the school year. These are an excellent indicator of how things are going in buildings, and unlike an annual survey, the assessment is over the course of the entire year. Stakeholders are always welcome to call or email, and they do, and sometimes they have requests an appointment to discuss an issue or concern. It's important to note that these include parents, staff, students, and community members. All are welcome to provide input by these methods, and many do. I wanted to take this opportunity to publicly applaud my administrative team for their exemplary leadership during the most challenging year in their career in public education. Constant problem solving and thinking outside the box while guidelines and information are constantly changing. These outstanding individuals continue to inspire and motivate their staff to do their best during these hardest times. The 24/7 call of duty and level of responsibility was especially great this year in balancing the education of our students with the well-being and safety of our staff and students. We are fortunate to have this administrative team serving the Allen Park School community. I also want to share that Mr. Ron Davis has included the annual contract renewal cycle in the auditorium match for the Center for the Arts. Historically, Mr. Davis' contract is contracted services to be reviewed and renewed on an annual basis with a one-year extension/renewal. I am proposing that we align Mr. Davis' contract with the administrative and administrative support contracts, working on a 2-year contract with the annual review and renewal. That will ensure that all contract employees meeting performance requirements will not find themselves in a position without a contract on July 1, the start of each fiscal year. Suggested motion, that the following administrative employment agreements be extended to June 30th, 2023 to the following individuals. Bruce Andrews, Middle School Assistant Principal. Ashley Bolish, Operations Assistant. John Bertanian, Assistant Administrator. Ron Davis, Auditorium Manager. Michael Dawson, High School Assistant Principal, Athletic Director. Patrick Donahue, Middle School Principal. Elise Grant, Administrative Assistant for Human Resources. Tiffany Key, Director of Finance. John Kelly, High School Principal. Sean Laura, Director of Community School and Services. Elizabeth Lee, Community Service Coordinator. Kathy Lott, Linden Principal. Sarah Monsker, Betty Principal. Adam Mahalik, Director of Technology. Joni Payne, Payroll and Benefits Coordinator. Karen Rogers, Account Supervisor. Dr. Matthew Sokol, Director of Special Education. Dr. John Tafelsky, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Patrick Ward, Director of Operations. Barb Zdrowski, Administrative Assistant. And Steve Zielinski, Argo Principal.
Support, or motion? Support.
Moved and supported. We'll open it up for any comments or questions, but first I'll just say this. We obviously have several administrators here. And over the last year and a half, the effort that you put in and what has been the most trying circumstances is I have absolute empathy for your situation, and I applaud all of your efforts in going way above and beyond what was called for. It's folks like you that make this district tick the way it does. And there's lots of other groups the same way, but we're talking about administrators here right now. So I want to thank you all for the job you've done over the last year and a half. Thank you very much. Anybody else? I don't know if you're raising your hand or.
Just clap.
That's right. Anyone else?
Are you open for general?
Yeah,
comment?
yeah.
So I agree with Gordon 100%. I mean, this year has been such an aberration. I applaud you guys and everyone involved in this. I know many teachers who tutor during the off in the summer who just said, I can't issue any time off, and I would imagine you guys need that well-needed time off as well. But my question here is the direct planning survey. Is that the, and I'm not sure, you know, I reached out to the APEA and I didn't hear back, but is that the survey that by contract is supposed to go to the?
Yeah, by contract.
So there's no.
We do a climate survey that we've done through Advanced Ed over the years. And I think we had stated, a couple years back, we actually did like our own home, in-house kind of a survey. The surveys that we use are now through Cognia, they can change. We also made I reached out to all the superintendents in the downriver area who was still doing like a climate survey this year. Vast majority of schools chose not to, as I stated at the last meeting, based on COVID. To try to do a climate survey and have any type of evaluation tagged onto that, when we already knew we had, half of our staff didn't want to be in, half wanted to be in, it would be a very unfair situation towards our administrative team to use them, as building principals, when the reality is those decisions were made at my level and our level, not their level. So that's the majority of schools said, yeah, they're going to do the climate survey based on that. And some schools did, but they left off, like Riverview, Russ McKelson, who never used that in the evaluative form at all. It was more just fact gathering of what they could do different if we continue the COVID techniques. So.
So that was just my misunderstanding or unclarity, if there was actually something like contract or not. And I think there might be some misunderstanding amongst the staff as well, so we could clear that up with the teachers as well, so the staff, they know what is, what comes for them and what. No, I agree, Gordon, with you 100%. I applaud everyone that's been involved in this year, including the colleagues on this table as well. That was all.
Yeah, I think at least I got a little bit of a habit, by the way, over the last year and a half of going around and identifying each person with a chance to talk. Now that we're back together, it's much more free flow, so feel free to stick your hand out or interject if you want to talk.
Okay, so one of the questions that I asked at the June 21st meeting was whether or not surveying staff, parents, students was still part of the law, the evaluation law. And it was indicated that yes, it was, but now tonight I'm hearing, no, it's not.
No, the actual, that survey is not part of the administrative evaluation. The advanced school climate survey.
Not that one.
Feedback,
but
are you talking about like getting feedback?
Correct.
So yeah,
that is.
but the law's not specific to like sending a
A
survey.
survey.
Input is required,
Input
not
is
necessarily a
required.
survey.
Right, that's what I was saying.
And that was my, and I stated it on the 21st, that was my problem, and has been my problem, that the staff is not aware, even when we were told surveys went out, they weren't aware that that was the purpose of it, was for administrator evaluation. And that's something I think needs to be addressed and shored up a little bit. I applaud your efforts. I know you are in all the buildings. You have an open door policy. People can come in and talk to you. Not everybody obviously feels comfortable. We even talked on the 21st about, whether or not these surveys were given any credit, if you will, if they were turned in anonymously.
Right.
And you said if it came from the staff, yes, but not from parents, as I recall, correct?
Yeah, if they were, if the staff member had an issue, we would prefer to have their name so that I could contact them to find out more.
Well, sure, but, we've been down this
Yeah.
road a lot of times where there's people that just don't feel that they can,
Right.
but they want you to be aware of the situation, for instance. So that was my concern. I didn't want to be out of compliance with the law. I wanted our teachers to know that, we are interested in what they have to say and their feedback. I mean, this is their livelihoods too. So, I appreciate you clearing that up. Also, you reminded me that administrator contracts changed significantly over the last 2 years. We were dealing with issues a couple of years ago, so,
Yeah.
that kind of changes the tone. I just didn't want to be out of compliance with the law.
And we are within compliance, and again, all of our staff members, not even teachers, any group has the same opportunities to contact administration, if not my office, or HR department, or even as a superintendent. And again, I visit, obviously through COVID, we didn't do it this last time, but I make a habit of getting in each building. I usually sit in the media center for the entire day, let, people come in and speak, and you've been a part of it. We've even done some things off campus before when we've had to, because, some people were comfortable with some situations. So we do make ourselves available for input. That's where we're getting into. That's the compliance. As long as our staff members have an opportunity to share, it doesn't come down to a single survey. A single survey is not that. It's one component.
It is one component,
It is,
it's
you know.
one aspect.
It's
and
one
I
piece of
agree
the
with
tool,
that.
right?
But, and on the 21st, you also talked about getting a focus group together and perhaps doing something that's.
A little bit more.
More, you know,
Yeah, and that's what, John and I were talking about, Dr. Felsman, again, this fall, we thought we would re-look at what they're doing through this cognitive group, looking at those surveys, working with our team of like, what is, what should this look like? We've always kind of prided ourselves now working ways of taking things from somebody else, tweaking it to meet our needs, and that's what we feel with this,
And this was never directed at the administrators. I know you guys have done a yeoman's job and beyond. It's just the compliance with the law. I felt, we weren't quite meeting that mark. I was concerned about that, and so I know it was what my goal was. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, hearing nothing further, we'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and
Very good.
well-deserved. Thank you, administrators, for all of your efforts. Okay, let's move on to some textbooks.
I had this, if you guys have other things you'd like to do, we're gonna get to continue with the agenda. Feel free to stay, but again, I know you guys are extremely busy. It is summer, so feel free to depart at this time if you guys like to. Thanks for coming, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna go look at my new gym.
There you go.
Yeah.
I heard it's awesome.
Yes, that's what I heard.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Hearing none. Introduction of new business number 1, textbook adoptions. Discovering our past. A history of the United States. Ellenberg Middle School 8th grade social studies. Common Core Algebra 1 with CalChat and CalView. Enhanced resources. Ellenberg High School Algebra 1. Common Core Geometry with CalChat and CalView. Enhanced resources. Ellenberg High School Geometry. Common Core Algebra 2 with CalChat and CalView. Enhanced resources. Ellenberg High School Algebra 2. Calculus for the Advanced Placement course, Ellenberg High School, and AP Calculus. We received a proposal from Dr. Tefelsky, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, to adopt and purchase the mentioned textbooks. Through the Instructional Curriculum Council, which is ICC, the district has followed a schedule for regular review and possibly order curriculum material for each of our content areas and grade spans. The existing 8th grade American history textbook is from the year 2000. Pending approval, this would mean that our social studies texts at Ellenberg Middle School have been refreshed within the past 2 years. Sample books were reviewed by the Ellenberg Middle School teachers and recommendations were forwarded to the K-12 Social Studies Committee. ICC then reviewed and approved the recommendation at the March 10th meeting. Our current series of Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 texts have a copyright dates of 1999, 2001, and 1996 respectively. They are not aligned with the Common Core curriculum, and many are in terrible condition. The LP Calculus text is from 1998 and is 13 years out of compliance with the College Board's requirement for textbooks no more than 10 years old. We also do not have enough textbooks to give every student, which is also required by the College Board. Again, these math books were reviewed by the Ellenberg High School Math Department, and recommendations were then forwarded to the K-12 Math Committee to review and approve. Subsequently, ICC reviewed and approved these textbooks at the June 2nd meeting. For the sake of consistency, books will be purchased based on classroom sets with a 6-year online license to the text. This will give our students and staff an opportunity to remain up to date with the most current information. This is a significant shift from where students past generations have been, but the reality of where kids are now. If approved, new textbooks will be funded through the curriculum textbook account line. Costs are as follows. 8th grade social studies, $29,390, which includes 3 classroom sets. There's 105 books and licenses, plus 200 additional licenses. Algebra 1, $27,888, which includes 162 books and licenses, plus 138 additional licenses. Geometry, $27,672, which includes 153 books and licenses, plus 147 additional licenses. Algebra 2, $28,320, which includes 180 books and licenses, 120 additional licenses. AP Calculus, $5,758.41, which includes 35 books and licenses. There is an estimated shipping charge of $8,388. I'd like to thank Dr. Tefelsky for his work leading this initiative, with special thanks to Mrs. Priscilla Zett and Mr. Tim Brown for their outstanding efforts in getting these textbooks recommended and approved at the departmental committee and ICC levels. Dr. Tefelsky is here this evening to answer any questions you may have. The suggested motion that the Ellenberg Board of Education approve the recommendation by the Instructional Curriculum Council for the adoption and purchase of the following textbooks as presented. Discovering Our Past, A History of the United States, Albert Middle School, 8th grade, Social Studies. Common Core Algebra 1 with CalChat and CalView Enhanced Resources, Albert High School, Algebra 1. Common Core Geometry with CalChat and CalView Enhanced Resources, Albert High School, Geometry. Common Core Algebra 2 with CalChat and CalView Enhanced Resources, Albert High School, Geometry 2. Calculus and the Advanced Placement courses, Albert High School, AP Calculus. Ooh.
You need, what? You gotta take a drink of water. Hold it down. Take a breath.
Support.
Moved and supported. We'll open it up for any comments or questions.
What's CalChat?
That is their online portal, like, so for our elementary school, for parents, they would use Think Central, and so CalChat is their online portal that kids can access now.
I think I realized more during COVID that the use of textbooks are so much important still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we needed them so bad, especially with social studies for my kids, so.
Yeah.
The fifth grader for sure.
We
so.
still do want to make sure that we have enough that if kids want to take them home and, you know, classroom sets and all of those things, but, when we were going through the process, there was always the conversation, do we order one book for every kid, or do we order a classroom set and something, and it came down to, I think it was Joe Bannock who said, like, I think every kid should have a textbook, but every kid takes a picture of the textbook and then walks out of my classroom and leaves the textbook there.
Yeah.
And so that's just not where our students are going, and so why are we fighting this constantly? And so I think it's a great idea, and then for something like history, new history is made every single day, and so these resources are constantly updated. It's a great little cycle to be on, and ICC has actually talked, we now have kind of a 5-6 year cycle going of reviewing everything and making sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Well, I'd like to just comment that back in the day, 27,000, 30,000 for a set of books was unheard of. We were more in 150 to 200,000
Yeah.
range.
I was stuck on
the
the
textbooks.
8,000 for shipping.
I know, I was like, we use like Prime.
I got it, guys.
There is no free
I'll
shipping.
go get 'em.
That's crazy.
Let's go to the Common Core idea. I mean, there's been talk through the last few years.
Mhm.
It's here, it's going, it's staying, it's going. I mean, we're buying into it, huh?
Yep, Common Core State Standards is our adopted curriculum through the Board of Ed in 2013, I want to say, it goes back that far. And so until that changes, that's what we got to go with. And there's nothing, you know, we could look at the high school aligning to College Board standards, SAT, you know, or looking at what the ACT offers as far as high school content expectations. But the Common Core State Standard is where everybody is at, and they are extremely broad, especially with their power standards, and then they drill down a lot. But you know, generally, I think that even if 3 years from now something happens and they change, I mean, we still don't really have social studies standards; those will never be agreed on. Science standards will never be agreed on. We're aligned to NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, but you know, that never came through the Common Core like that was ultimately supposed to. So I think this is a safe place to be, and if things change, then we can revisit it, and I think that's why it's nice to be on a 5-6 year cycle.
Well, I also think it's nice that we're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars or spending a, fraction of, sorry, Tiff, but it's still a lot of money, I get it, but not like it was. I remember when the foreign language textbooks
Yeah.
came in, they loaded up the counseling office, it was just.
Yeah, they used to, $300 a piece, and you were ordering for 300 kids.
So how did you determine, 'cause I'm looking at these numbers, 162, 153, 180, how did you make the determination of how many you needed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Tim, at the high school specifically, and then also at the middle school, we looked at the class schedules and ordered 35 per teacher, 34 per teacher, I think, of teachers that were teaching that course. So you have 4 teachers teaching it, 4 classroom sets, add a special ed set, and then add a couple dozen for teachers to take, or for kids to take home in the event that they need it.
So there's no different version for special ed?
There's not a different version, no, but the online version, exactly, it's the pace and, the support that's given, and the online version does include, different things. Our ESL department has been thankful of their online licenses because they actually have text readouts in other languages, and so that's been a great feature.
And so for anybody that doesn't know, these licenses, then there's the online
Yep,
component.
and you actually access the textbook access the textbook online, you can annotate, it does text to speech, and there's assignments that teachers can push out to students as well,
So the kids don't really need to take a book home?
no, not necessarily. Some like it, Jen pointed out, I mean, just like that, like some people just like to have a book in their hand, and so we have them available for students if they want them, but, they do not need to take them home, especially now that every kid has a Chromebook.
And that's a big change
Mhm.
since last week.
That certainly is,
with
yeah.
this. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you everybody for their work, Dr. Felsky, ICC, Math Committee, all those involved, thank you. If there are no other questions, then we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, special election, Mr. Gardner.
Resolution calling for special election, the non-homestead operating millage renewal proposal. The district is currently authorized to levy 20.8769 non-homestead operating mills, but can never levy more than 18 of those mills. To receive full state aid, the state of Michigan assumes every district collects the allowable 18 operating mills. The last levy of the non-homestead operating millage will be on July 1, 2022. And the district would like to ask voters to renew the millage, then will need to do so before it's levied. Administration is recommending that we ask the voters to renew the operating millage for the period of 10 years at the November 2nd, 2021 election. Board members have received a copy of the prepared resolution calling for a special election on November 2nd, 2021, along with proposed ballot proposition/language. Please note that the filing of the deadline with the city and county clerk for the fall election is August the 10th. Should the board adopt the resolution this evening, the resolution and certification of ballot proposition will be sent to the city and the county clerks tomorrow. Ms. Tiffany Keith, Director of Finance, is available this evening to answer any questions you may have. The suggested motion that the Elkhart Board of Education adopt the resolution calling for the special election for a non-homestead operating village renewal proposal to be placed on the November 2nd, 2020 ballot as presented.
Right, moved and supported, seems pretty straightforward to me, but what I want to compliment is getting ahead of the ball rather than being reactionary to it. This is great planning. We applaud you for it. This is the way you do it, so thank you for that. Anyone else?
Do we see any problems with this on the heels of the bond issue? I know this is non-homestead, so it doesn't affect the typical homeowners.
Right, so it's non-homestead, so not principal residences. Like commercial, rental. I don't foresee any problems. I mean, we had great turnout with the last two elections.
Yeah, the last non-homestead was 80-20.
They typically pass overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
And I don't recall one not passing since 2000.
Yeah.
So,
I don't either. And I was a little confused about the 20.87, because I know it's typically 18 mils.
Right.
But that's, the impact is 18 mils, correct?
So we can only levy the 18 mils, on the non-homestead. The 20 is because, a couple years ago, I don't know if you remember, we went out for the heavy, restoration, so we were rolled back. That original non-homestead was allowable for the 18 mils. Once it rolls back, you can never get back up to the 18 once you go back up to the voters. That's what we did, the heavy override. I think that was 2 years ago.
It was a year before the last bond.
Okay, yeah. So we put on the ballot an additional 4 mills, which was strategic in case we were rolled back for the remaining years until this one expired. So we can never levy anything more, but we have the 20 authorized. So we get, so if we roll back, we have a little bit of cushion. Okay.
Thank you.
anyone else? Okay. With no other questions, then we'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Board meeting scheduled for 2021-22, Mr. Darda.
Thank you. Regular board meetings for the year are selected and scheduled according to the school calendar, with 2 regular meetings scheduled in the month of January, which is our organizational, and June, the public budget hearing. Additionally, we have proposed a schedule of work sessions for the board for the 2021-22 school year as well. If there is not a need for any particular work session, the work session will be canceled. Suggested motion that the regular meeting dates and work sessions for the 2021-2022 school year be approved as presented. And we actually added in those work sessions because of the bond work that's being done. So we'll be inviting in Bart and Mel at times if they're not coming in, and there's a scheduled session, that way you guys know I'm not one to meet just to meet, so we'll be canceling those.
I just have a quick question. Did we receive something that the August 9th was changed, or was it changed on?
It's changed from August 9th to the following week.
Anybody want to move on that suggested motion?
Motion. Support.
Moved and supported. Yeah, you're talking about the email we received that we're bumping it a week, right? Is that official? We are bumping the 9th to the 7th or the 16th?
16th.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I know that there's at least a couple dates there that are not going to be good for me, but they're good for the whole, so we'll keep those the way they are. Pretty consistent with what we've done in the past, so. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, memberships, Mr. Darby.
The Michigan Association of School Boards, MASB, Metropolitan Detroit Bureau of School Studies Incorporated, and MHAA, Michigan High School Athletic Association. Board packets include information and invoices to continue membership with MASB, Metropolitan Bureau of School Studies, and the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Membership costs have been budgeted. I recommend that these memberships and fees be approved as presented, in addition to the Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution. We rely on these organizations for guidance, research, and legal counsel, MASBs for General School Board Open Meetings Act legislation. Suggested motion that the memberships with MASB and Metropolitan Bureau of School Studies be renewed for the 2021-2022 school year. And further, that the attached Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution for the year of August 1, 2021 through July 31st, 2022 be adopted.
So moved.
All right, been moved and supported. I don't ask it every year, but I'll ask it this year. Do we feel we're getting bang for our buck for Metro Bureau and MASB?
Yeah.
Right. There used to be a tri-county, I think we used to do.
It's now moved over, it's into a new group now.
Yeah, what is it now? It's Tri-County Alliance.
Still trying to figure out why,
Yeah.
yeah, there's like new people, yeah.
Yeah.
So are we not renewing, or are we not belonging to that
Yeah,
anymore?
They don't charge it. They
Don't see that.
That's through Greenwood Open stuff, they do that.
Is that the one, the tri-county one where you don't send out surveys a lot for what other districts are doing?
That's MASB. That's, I'm Metro Bureau.
So that's Metro Bureau.
Yeah.
Wayne Reese does it now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have all the services.
Yeah, good. All right, anyone? All right, hearing no other questions, we'll call it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to superintendent's reports.
Very good. Just real quick, a couple items, May 2021 bond updates. The bond, it's been going great, I gotta be honest. I'm very impressed with Bart and Mello. It's several different meetings. We actually meet with Bart and Mello once per week. Tomorrow, Dale Jerome is coming in from French Associates. He'll be looking at, he's actually gonna walk the field. It's more of a personal thing where he's gonna do some measurements, stuff like that. We've been giving you guys some of the minutes that we've been getting back from Bart and Mello, which I really enjoy those as well. Tiffany's group, they guys have not met now. You and Steve have not met with your group in just the one time so far, so.
We did just close though on.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been pretty busy with all of this stuff from their group. But overall, I mean, we're moving forward, as they stated earlier during their presentations, most of the bids won't go out until October, November, so right now it's all kind of gathering information. A lot of discussions. We actually have also been meeting quite a bit on the fields. We've invited Toponoski and several coaches have been a part of all of those meetings. Those are decisions that shouldn't be made, within one office. Those are the guys using the field, so I'd like to make sure Tom, as well as, again, we have the track coaches, Mr. Dawson, are all involved in all of those meetings, and a lot of really good input, a lot of great ideas. They're actually starting now to start working on some rendering. So they'll start to kind of, hopefully soon, start seeing some ideas. And again, we really been talking about the whole idea of that being a complex, and how we best utilize the space. We've actually made some changes where we've moved some stuff around based on the discussion with all the coaches and what works best. And some things like look good, but this is, will work a little better. So I'm pretty excited to see some of the renderings that come out. But overall, really happy with the progress so far. And as needed, we'll get Mark Mallow in here to keep you guys updated as well.
I'm still worried about the retention piece.
Well, that's a big money, big money thing. One of the things we're also working on, and I'm still trying to work on with the mayor, is we are looking at the other fields, that we utilize. We release from the we lease from the city. And so what we've got right now is I'll be attending one of their meetings coming up at City Hall because we've got a new lease that we put out there. So one of the things is, and I work with Tiffany quite closely, because we've got so much money going out, we're going to renew the lease and add some new language to it. The old lease just didn't cover everything we needed. So, that's in the works also. So I'll keep you updated, and again, I met with Mark Kibbe, we don't have any reservation that should pass. No problem at all.
May I ask another
Yes,
question?
of course.
Any reservations at all about not going with, oh my God, who we were gonna go with, what?
The KPMG.
No, it was, the oversight, yeah.
Pressa.
Oh, yeah, no, so I had, emailed, they totally understood where you're coming from. And what I had stated in our email, that we felt confident moving forward. I mean, I felt with Tiffany and Steve, and then when we started getting back the minutes, the meeting minutes, I really thought that was pretty powerful, and again, and I can text Steffi at any time and get information. But I sent out an email to Plant Moran and let them know kind of they totally respected it. And I let them know that, hey, if we also know that they're available to us, if at any time we feel that something doesn't feel right, we can bring them in at that time for a smaller fee. They don't have to come in from start to finish. And they said, hey, if you guys get into a situation where things just something's not jiving, we're happy to come in and look it over, And so I thought that was a real win-win. Of course, there's a fee associated, but again, it's another resource for us to be able to utilize.
Well, but when we had to look at the children, the students giving something up to
Yeah.
pay the
That's-
overall big fee,
Yeah.
it kind of,
It was.
that hurt.
That was a big impact,
Yes.
it was over $1 million.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we maintain good relations with that.
So,
Yeah. The other thing we already talked about was, again, just real quick, was just the change of date to August the 16th at 7 p.m. here in the large group instruction room for our next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Darby. Citizens' comments, anyone? Slim pickings. All right, reports of officers. Let's start down with Steve.
Just congratulations to the new hires and all the administrators who on their contracts. Like we said at the beginning, and as Mr. McDonald said, yeoman's work this year, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. Teachers as well, and I know it's stressful again for everyone, including us. Some of the decisions weren't easy decisions, and for Ms. Tiffany here too with it. So, congratulations to all of those and being renewed, the resignations and retirements. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoy your time off and new adventures, whatever you want to do. The bond update, I just was curious. I did speak with Mr. Dawson actually while I was in Colorado about, he's excited about some of the changes going in.
Yeah.
Was there any concern with like major scope changes from what was presented?
On the ballot language.
Yeah.
So, no, not really, because the only thing that we're looking at right now, and we're working with Bart now, is reutilizing or repurposing some of the funds that were allocated to the middle school football field. So, and we're not really sure how it happened. It was really interesting, because I'm talking to Dale Jerome and stuff like that. It was stated in the packet, but no one remembers the conversation, that the middle school football field was going to get turfed.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things, like, we don't know, and we had drawn attention to that earlier, actually. That was not a discussion we ever had. The field is in horrible condition, but there's many things we could do beyond the turf part of it. So how can we allocate the funds that would have been used there to help us accomplish the bigger picture items? Because the reality is the middle school field isn't utilized near like what our other programs are. The Bulldogs and everybody come over
Yeah,
here,
we
they don't go to the middle school.
were like, kind of a lot for 6 games a year, and
Yeah,
Bruce was like,
right.
actually, we don't even play on the field.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
actually
oh,
Mike and I
okay.
spoke about that.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah.
So the changes he talked about were all great.
Yeah.
And well beyond and within scope of the
Right,
price and
right.
things like that. So,
We're
it's great to have their foresight
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
input on those as well.
And I think, again, working with Marmel, and being creative and moving things around, we're actually excited about some of the projects we can do with the city lease fields that we never thought were touchable at this time. So we're, you know, keeping our fingers crossed, we don't want to say too much, because, you know.
I've heard some rumors on that.
Yeah, there's some rumors
Just from
flying,
some of
but
the coaches.
but we're really looking at, again, we're trying to create an entire town.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know, some of the citizens have reached out to you as well, Mike, and they're excited about it, so
Yeah.
I'm excited. So
Yeah.
I wish we could get it all in play for, you know, September kickoff, I know it's not possible.
Yeah, no, I know, right.
Next September.
Yeah, one of the concerns that was interesting, one of the concerns, and again, you know, coming from a football coach, rightfully so. So what we've told our coaching staff and Mr. Dawson, from what we've been told of our mail, so we're looking at 2022, obviously not this fall, but the fall after. And they've asked us to pretty much try to schedule most, you know, your first few games away. If you could plan your homecoming as your first home game in the new stadium, that'd be very cool, but that pushes us to late September, possibly early October. And like Tom said, that sounds awesome, and it will be awesome, but I think they've already had like probably 6 games up to that, because they start playing already.
Yeah.
So he's like, gosh, half my season's gonna be away, nor how do we practice?
Yeah.
Like, where are we practicing if these fields are still tore up? So we'll get creative and we'll make it happen. We always do. We always problem solve, and and Tom knows that. But it again, there's things, you know, sound great, but then at the backside, there's always a little bit of a bump there.
Yeah, they're always
Whether
There are.
it's a temporary pain for long term.
Exactly, and that's we gotta look at the big picture, you know.
So I'm excited about the bond kicking off.
Yeah, I am too.
Getting moving, I know, obviously I speak to a lot of teachers, and there's gonna be air conditioning in the rooms in
Yeah.
September.
Yeah,
They
so-
all want that.
So,
I think it's gonna be by September.
It's gonna be in September, just not this September.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe it's September, but maybe not.
we're moving forward, so I've already approved, I have a schedule of how that's, but they're all getting it.
It's exciting.
It'll be at different times, that's the thing, like everybody has to realize, like they said, that, you know, if they could walk around, you know, 400 air conditioners and get it done in one time, they would, but obviously just, the problem even the big companies are facing is it's also employees, like they don't have enough even manpower to do it, and as well as if we bring in more crews, it's more money. You know, one of the concerns that has been talked about, and again, this is a 4 or 5 year long project,
Mhm.
but when we first bid this out, you know, we're at $74 million. $74 million looks differently now because of all the construction issues and the cost. It might look more like 68 million in today's dollars. So we have to see how that'll play out, because everything is just costing more.
Yeah.
You know, so, and you see that in your line of work.
Yeah, and I still think everything that we want and that we've asked for is very feasible.
Yeah, and that's what they said, so I think we're gonna be okay.
And I think Barton Mel will be going with it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're excited.
All the citizens I speak with, they're all excited as well.
Yeah.
My daughter's gonna be a senior, so she won't be able to enjoy that, but hopefully, your kids.
My kids will.
Maybe years down the road, maybe kids will.
Right.
And, you know, I'm wondering about kickoff this year, I'm gonna be probably retiring from the chain game.
Oh,
So-
no, say it so.
I just was gonna do it till my daughter got through high school, and, you know, I still go to the games, but I'll be able to watch them.
You're the first one to say Wednesday.
Well, I always do that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's all I had, so very excited about that, and, you know, as you, Tiffany and I, we all set,
Very good.
looking forward to getting going with all those moving forward.
Yeah, no, we all.
Taking it off.
Yeah.
That's a good job, That'd be Jen.
Absolutely. I have one question just to piggyback on this. We are doing something though for that middle school field, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as the baseball,
Oh,
and
okay.
everything, yeah.
It's
It'll be
bad.
taken care of.
Okay.
It may not be turf that we would expect, you know, in high school.
Right.
It'll be taken care of.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 'cause he's, you know, and again, Mr. Dawson was, you know, he had a lot of really good, obviously he was there for many years. So
Yeah.
he knows the condition.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were talking about a lot of nice things. It'll look good.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure it's
Yeah.
gonna be something.
Yeah, no, we'll take care of it.
Not nothing.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
That's a bit out there. All right, same, just pretty much, what Mr. Martin said. Congratulations, to all the new hires and the retirees, and, huge congratulations to the administrator contracts. Huge shout out to the bus drivers. I know we need so many of them right now. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
All right.
There sure are a lot of bus driver signs out and about.
Oh my gosh, there are.
Every district.
Every
Yeah.
district. Somebody got one.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? It's like, boom.
But they never require a CDL license, right?
I know.
Does it require your chauffeur?
School bus?
Yeah.
And CDL, yeah.
Is it CDL?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Chauffeur's not on.
Nope, no, yeah, and the CDL, you gotta go to the specific training, you
Yeah.
know, and that was the problem that we were facing. We actually had, at one point, we were trying to send drivers to reset for training. Because there was such a lack, they were canceling the training, so even though we had 2 or 3, they weren't doing the training, so those then got put up another month almost to be trained, so, but they wouldn't host it with just 2 or 3 people. They had minimums, so it was catch-22. And virtually if you look at Facebook, I mean, the other schools, I always monitor other schools, every school's like bus drivers, you know, and then it becomes like a bidding war, you know, and just like the places, you know, they're giving away incentives and, you know, because they just don't have enough, and unfortunately, so then we even looked at as a school, which as you know, we even looked at, you know, we went to, third-party transportation places, we rented van, we even rented a van, Pat Ward was running a van and doing special ed runs, you know, because we didn't have enough people, so, you know, it is long.
You get your CDL, you have to pay for it, it's tax write-off.
Yeah, right?
I know we talked at one point about getting a van, and, I mean, I guess I'm wondering if that's feasible still.
It's not supposed to be delivered till October, but.
Oh, we are getting.
Yeah, we purchased it,
Oh,
it's
there
just,
you go.
it was that chip thing.
Didn't we purchase it right after Pat left?
We did, and I sent him a picture of it. Like, Patty, you got your van. So then he wrote back several months later that he would love to drive the van.
No.
Pat's passion project.
By roll back, you mean you got a slideshow?
I guess I'll show.
Yeah.
23 slides. I love him. Oh, no, I love him.
All right, I have to finish my thing. So congratulations to the new hires, welcome aboard. Hope you enjoy a nice, long, wonderful career here, like some of us have. Nothing beats it. Congratulations to those who retired and resigned to move on to other things. I guess thanks to Mr. Dario to talking me through administrator contracts and making sure we're in compliance with the law and all things, and we're moving forward on that. And I just think it's good that we hear from all of our stakeholders so that we don't get ourselves in any mishaps, I guess. So congratulations to the administrators on their renewals. And I'm very excited to see, you know, construction movement, whatever within the district. I think that puts the message out to all of our constituents that we're fully invested in their students, their children, and it's a good place to be. Thank you.
I would like to reiterate what everyone said, and again, you can't beat working in a great district, so, Allen Park is a great place to be. It's so exciting to hear about all the wonderful things that we have going. I mean, even the textbooks, that's always good stuff. I was always happy when I got new stuff as a teacher, so, particularly a textbook. So that's awesome, and that's about it.
Maybe nothing. Just doodle everything. I guess these in-person short meetings are super nice. I like experiencing
We're at
this.
48 minute hold
Right.
down. We're at 48, we still have a closed session.
Yeah.
I'll whip through it.
I have nothing myself other than to, thank the administrators again. With that, I would entertain a motion to conduct a periodic personnel evaluation of the superintendent in compliance with Section 8A of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, and go to closed session.
Second.
Moved and supported, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're going to go into closed session now and talk a little bit